All right. Are you new to stop motion? Then this video is for you. Today we are learning the basics of stop motion for beginners. So let's dive in. Guys, this is the first live stream of the year. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're new to the channel or whatever, just comment your name and where you're from. I would love to know that and where you're watching from. It's just always fun to see who pops in and things like that. All right. It looks like I've got some new people here, so that's really cool. All right. Well, let's dive in. This is the first episode in our stop motion series, and we're going to be covering filming, lighting, editing, sound effects, all that. And to kick this off, we are just going to give an overview of stop motion and maybe have some things that get you guys fired up for the show. So let's go. I'm going to start with my top 3, and then we'll have a special guest, a professional Lego stop motion animator. He's absolutely amazing. I've watched a ton of his stuff, but I'm going to give what little I know, and then he'll, fire you up from there. So the first thing I want to show you guys is this right here. I'm going to see if I can get out of here. There we go. Oh, no. Full screen layout. There we go. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have a solid table, in my opinion. This is huge. You want to have a solid table because when you move around, and we have what's called onion skinning, and we'll get to that later in the shows. But basically, if you don't have a solid table, your shot will look like this when you take the next picture, and there's nothing that just slows you down so much. So make sure you have a solid surface when you're working with stop motion, and it's going to be a lot better for you so your shots don't end up like that. Secondly, my second point is lighting. This is with no windows. This is just a picture of me in a dark room. If you guys don't have artificial lights or things like that, I just opened a window to the side, and it brightens it a lot up and gives a whole bunch of contrast. And I think it looks really cool and sharp. And it also gives you the option to blur out the background. So you can kind of see the difference of the two. And that's just what a little light does. If you have a tiny flashlight, that also works amazing. If you can prop it up somewhere on a chair or something just to see, because you can't on here, you can't see the colors. It's just a whole bunch of black. And so just that little bit of light, it makes a huge difference. The next thing is you want some sort of backdrop. A lot of you guys in the house will have these really discolored looking walls and the shadows, and it works, but shadows also just make your stop motion video look really bad and just move around a lot. So if you had a backdrop, it can be Lego board, cardboard, piece of paper, even it can be wood, but you can see how it looks a lot better and the shadows aren't going to dance around your image as much. So those are 3 little small tips I have for you guys. But now I'm going to turn it over to the master himself over here whenever he is ready.
All right. Hello. Okay, hello everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. Hello. Okay, yeah, you can. Okay, my name is NullSpectreStudios.
Not on, real quick.
Yeah, I know. Okay, Okay, my name is NullSpectreStudios, or Josh from NullSpectreStudios. I have been animating for around 3 years now, on and off. So today I'm going to be helping, just give general tips for stop motion. Okay, first tip, most important tip, lighting. Like Brandon said, lighting is one of the most crucial elements of stop motion. It sets the mood for your animation. It makes your animation look good, bad, everything. So, first of all, for lighting, I would recommend having one light behind your backdrop. So, in the background, if you have the light in the background, it prevents most shadows. Okay, let me turn this one off. So you'll already see shadow in the background. It does not look great. But the minute you switch this on, it looks automatically a lot better. Secondly, having a light on your action figures or minifigures or whatever you're animating with. is crucial, because if you don't, well then that happens, and that does not look great at all. So yeah, you want to do that. Okay, then last of all, if I move these back here, you want to have a light in the foreground. So usually this is just to make sure that there's no like shadow on the minifigures or on the rest of the set. It just makes everything look better in other terms. So yeah, lighting, very, very important. Another thing with lighting is that if you have the wrong type of lighting in a scene, the scene is not going to be as impactful. So like, let's say you're trying to go for a dramatic lighting or a dramatic theme. You're going to have like one centered light on the minifigures. But if you do that wrong, it's not going to look great. So just keep that in mind with lighting. Okay, on to the second tip. Let me just turn my camera off so I can angle it on my computer. This one is probably the most important tip when it comes to animation, and it is called easing in and out. Easing in and out is a fundamental principle of animation for numerous reasons. It makes your animations feel more organic, more alive. It makes them look better, and well, just in general, it helps your animations feel a lot more professional. Okay, so once I have this angled in my computer, I'm going to show you a couple examples of an animation. Camera. Okay, let me just turn these off. Okay, here we have my computer. So, for starters, this animation. Okay, let me just take it back to the start. Okay, so with this animation, basically, easing in and out. So as you see here, there's a minifigure here. That did not look great. That is an example of not an easing in and out. So you'll actually see that with this, it goes up, not in small increments. It doesn't change. And it just looks robotic, stiff. It doesn't look great at all. The second example is an example of easing in and out. It looks a lot better, a lot smoother, and a lot more organic. So if you look at that, that already looks a lot better. Okay, let me just rewind for you. Okay, so as you can see here, the hand, instead of moving one by one by one, it moves small increments, bigger increment, another big increment, small, small. That looks a lot better. It makes it look better. It makes it look more real. Last example is this one. Okay. That already looked 10 times better. You can already see that looks, well, a lot better. So the reason for that is bounce. So when it comes to animation, easing in and out is not the only principle. You want to have bounce. So you'll notice how the minifigure arches forward. This is also another thing you need to do. So with the movement of the hand, the minifigure also moves. Make sure it doesn't like move erratically so that it like swaps the whole time. So as the hand goes up, it goes up, does the normal easing in and out thing, but then the minifigure and the hand both come down. This is important because it makes your animation look a lot more organic. It makes it look more real. It makes it look like there's actual like reaction. So let me just play that for you again. That definitely looks a lot better than this, the first one, and the second one. The second one is definitely better, but it's not as good as this one. Balance is very important. Just remember that. Okay, second animation. We have this one. Following an arc is one of the most important things you can do in an animation. If you don't do it correctly, and if you don't do it at all, the animation looks choppy in a bad way. There's a very good version of choppy, but in a bad way. So you'll see this minifigure. I'm probably going to redo this scene. You see how so first of all, his back, first of all, was leaned forward. You can see that. But then midway through the scene, he goes up straight. You don't want that because that makes it look a lot less smooth, a lot like worse. So the reason to avoid that is because, well, when you look at it, okay, so look here. When you look at it, you'll actually see the minifigure looks like it's moving erratically, and you don't want that. But you'll see near the end, it looks a lot smoother. That's because, well, I started controlling the minifigure. You'll see with this one, he follows much more of an arc. He moves, his torso stays arched forward, it looks better, and he only comes a bit up like this at the end. And that makes it look a lot better. So, yeah. Okay, then a lot of you may do this. I would never recommend doing this. You automatically go into fight scenes. You have not got any practice, you've got nothing to do, so you just go into a fight scene. This is a bad thing because you don't know the fundamentals of stop motion already. So if you go in without knowing anything, it's not going to look great. So you see, I've been doing this for 3 years, and throughout the 3 years that I've been doing this, I've gotten a lot better, as you can see here. That's used everything I've just explained. Easing in and out, bounce, and arcs. So basically, if you don't know those fundamental principles, you will come out with an animation that looks not only stiff, robotic, but it just doesn't look visually pleasing, and you won't be happy with the final result. So you'll see here, so look at this. So the minifigure, the stick goes up, and he hits the other stick away. And then that. So notice how with, okay, easing in and out, bounce, and making it look realistic. He goes back, and then he goes forward. Most of you will just make him go forward, and that'll make it look a lot more robotic and not great. Another thing, okay, motion blur, something that I'm not the best at explaining because I'm not great at doing it, but motion blur and smear frames are very important, and they make your animation look a lot more, like, better. So you'll see, like, the stick, as it goes down, it looks like it's an actual camera recording and making it look like it's actually moving. With stop motion, that's very difficult to do because it takes pictures, and pictures don't necessarily record motion blur the best. So to do that, just take like a little bit of like Lego block or something, like you'll see here. That is just a flat 2x2 tile. It makes it look a lot better, and it makes it look a lot more real. Okay, then another thing. Before you go into all these realistic and super high-tech and stuff animations, practice. You want to practice. Practicing makes perfect, as you probably know already. So you'll see this scene, it doesn't have a lot of fighting. There's more talking, there's more like just conversation. There's walking and everything. I would recommend trying to do this before you do fighting. Fighting is very complicated, and if you don't do it right, it doesn't look right. So definitely try that. Another thing to do is actually with this one. This is what you call a test. So it's not an animation that you'll usually post on YouTube. It's just an animation that you have. You just make it to practice. And that's what all animators should do. You don't have to post every single animation you make. That's not the best thing to do. So in your free time, if you have free time, just go ahead and make like a 1-2 second animation. Just like practice walking, movements, something like this. Just practice. That's the best thing you can do. It'll help, well, improve your skills. It'll help with everything. If you post every animation you make, people will not see you as somebody who is trying their best. They'll just see you as somebody who's posting for the sake of posting. Another thing with animations, slow motion and perspective. So you'll see with this animation, he is zoomed in. This makes you feel like you're in the set. You don't want people to know, like, you don't want to break the illusion that you're in the animation. You want to look like you're actually in the animation. You don't want to break that. So you'll see he's zoomed in. There's a wall behind him. It makes us feel like you're actually there. And that's something you always want to do. Never, and that's why lighting is so important. If you have lighting cast on the background and, well, shadows casting on the background, and your background is blue, it's not like a wall or anything, it's going to look weird, inorganic, and it's going to make it look a lot more unprofessional. While as if the shadowing is not on the background, it's going to make it look like, oh, that's the sky or that's something else. It's going to look a lot better. Another thing then, slow motion. There are two ways of doing slow motion. You can do what I usually do. I add a lot of frames. Basically, just add more frames than is necessary. Make it look like it's going slow. Another thing you can do is lower your frames per second. Your frames per second are not always everything. Just remember that. Just because somebody uses 15 frames per second and their animation looks good, doesn't mean if you're going to do it, it's going to look good. You first have to, yet again, get the fundamental skills. So you can lower the FPS, and then it's going to look a bit more choppy, but it's still going to look like slow motion. Okay, then another thing, perspective. So you see the minifigure. He's coming in for a kick. His leg is lifted. His arms are like that. He's about to kick this guy. So you'll see then, the arm is not actually, the leg is not actually on the minifigure. The leg is detached, and it's being held by a stick. So you can have like just a regular stick, a clear block or something, holding it up. Then you mask it out. I'm not very good at masking out. It looks a bit weird, but like, okay, so you'll see there, the leg is a lot closer, and the leg is, well, kicking him. Perspective is a lot. It can make your animations stand out. It can make it look very good. So remember that. But yet again, I would not recommend trying to do this if you're not very like if you're very new to stop motion. I would not recommend trying to do this. If you've been doing it for like a year or like 5 months or something, I'd recommend trying it, but I would not recommend trying to implement it into like an animation of yours. Not the best thing you can do. Just don't do that. Then yet again, this one shows easing in and out perfectly. Notice how the shadows are there. I don't want that. That is not great. So I don't have 3 lights. I usually recommend having not one, like 2 to 3 lights. 3 lights is probably the best for animation. So probably try to get 3 lights. But if you don't, 2 lights is good. 1 light is good in the interim, but you want to have more lights. So like you'll see this. This is in an area where there's a lot of light. So having a shadow there is not something I want. But you'll see he's still in the animation. He's still in the scenery. You don't want to break that. So you don't want to have like a wall be cut off here, and then you see like the blue background or the wall or anything. So like you want to have people think you're in the set. And you can do that by zooming in. You don't always have to like make a huge set. You can just make a facade. And basically a facade is, well, you probably know what that is, but it's just like a wall. It doesn't have to be like this huge elaborate build. So then this again shows a facade. So you have this wall here, then it'll transition to a gray wall. Yet again, shadow there. I don't want that, not the best. But the transitioning from this kind of wall to the other kind of wall shows that there is a difference in the type of walls. And that's yet again showing that you're actually in the set. That's a very good thing to have. Then this yet again, easing in and out. So you'll notice how the character moves. He moves as his hands move, his body moves with the motions. So like his head, when the body goes down, his head will go down. When his hand goes here, his body will most likely go here. And when the body goes forward, then the arms have to follow along. So like, okay, let me just show you. So you'll notice here, when the hand goes back, the body goes forward. This shows that he's actually being propelled into there by the very fast movement of the arm. It's something that you'll learn with time. Just remember, not all animations will come out perfect. You will always have an animation that will have something wrong with it. Don't let that discourage you. It's not great to have that. Okay, so you see here. Another thing very important, switching cameras or switching like angles. It makes you feel like you're actually there, trying to look at the scene from different spots. It's a very good thing to do. So yeah. Last thing. Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. If somebody tells you to stop, tells you to quit, tells you you're not good at animation, do not listen to them. Animation takes time to learn. Animation takes time, so you need to be patient. So, for example, if you're not good off the bat, if you think that you're never going to make it, the best example you can look at is Forest Fire 101. Currently the top animator on the platform. He has around 1.6 million subscribers. He started animation 2007. If you go back and look at his old videos, they are not the best. No offense, but I'm sure he knows that. And then if you take that and compare it to his videos today are nearly 10 times, sorry, no, that's an understatement, 100 times better than his old videos. That's because he took time to perfect and hone his skills. That is something you need to remember. You will not always be perfect off the bat. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, don't let anyone discourage you from animating. Done, basically.
All right. Thank you so much. That was incredible, guys. Comment. Good job for that was amazing. We have a couple questions for you if you want to answer those real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Comments came up. We've got I am fired up now, guys. We have a question from Kenneth. He's like, what software is good for putting stop motion animations together?
All right, putting stop motion animation together, I would recommend NullSpectreStudios. It's the entry-level stop motion platform. If you're on computer, I'm not very sure what to recommend to you because I don't use computer to animate, but I would definitely recommend trying to get Stop Motion Studios. If you can, Stop Motion Studio Pro is useful if you are only on phone, like for editing. But I would probably recommend getting a different like editor for your animations, something like CapCut, InShot, or maybe something better like there are better ones. I can't think of one right now. But yeah, so Stop Motion Studio Pros is probably the best one you can get, or Stop Motion Studio. So yeah, probably that.
Is that free or is there a paid version? There was another comment that was like, hey, what's a good free alternative?
Yeah, Stop Motion Studio. That's the free version of Stop Motion
Okay.
Studio Pro. So it's the blue one. The blue one is free.
Yep. All right. You can write that down if you want to stop motion editing software, go write that down, and it is free. But I just want to everybody loved this. Like there was a whole bunch of comments. I mean, everybody's fired up now for stop motion. We've got a lot of. I am fired up now. Look at all that. All righty. Well, thank you so much.
All right,
Josh.
Yep.
All righty. Let me get back to where I was here. Testing all this new layout stuff. All right. Well, that was amazing. So, if you are fired up for stop motion, we've got a lot left in the classes to do, and take his tips and apply them everywhere because he knows what he is talking about. But let us get into the giveaway right now. Let me get it real quick. I've got this time. I've got a little sealed poly bag that I found. I like the little stingray on it. So we're going to be giving this away today. And if you want to be entered into this giveaway, just comment stop motion in the chat. We will put you in the giveaway. Just everybody comment that to win this thing. It's a perfect thing. If you get this set, you can start stop motion with it. It has just enough little set pieces to you can do a lot with this set. So this is a good starter stop motion Lego set to do whatever with. And while we are getting all those in, just comment stop motion. And we're going to show you guys what has been made. We've got a lot of people sent stuff in this week. We've got a car. That is so cool. This is a mini. Is this a mini version of that big set? Is that? Wow, that is crazy. That is like spot on with the real, like the bigger one. That is crazy. Good job. I don't usually remember who did these, but good job to the designer. Yeah, that's a cool one too. These are all Technics. We've got a helicopter. Very colorful. I like that. We've got this is. I think this is one of my brothers. I know that this is a Western town that he built. A great set piece for stop motion, by the way. With the back open, you can put some things in there. That's probably another good tip we can both agree on is make your sets open in spaces. Don't build the whole thing because then you'll be able to get your cameras and minifigures in there. We got some different types of cars on the table there. That's pretty cool. And I'm not sure what this is, but that is pretty cool. I think that's one of my brothers too. And we got an RV camper trailer. I do know what that is. That looks pretty cool. That's amazing. All right. Do we have a lot in? We've got 3 people. All right. You ready? This is your last call. Just comment. We're gonna spin the wheel here. All right. And the winner for this giveaway is the Kaufmans. Kenneth Kaufman has won. You guys have won this. So you guys can get started on your stop motion set. That's awesome. Congratulations. That is awesome. All right. I'm so excited for the upcoming shows. And again, Josh, thank you so much. The last thing before we leave here is I'm going to give you a secret preview of tomorrow's video that is coming out. I'm so excited to share this with you. This will come out tomorrow. This is a project I'm working really hard on, and I'm so excited to share it with y'all. This is my newest video. I'm taking this set and I made it walk all by itself. This has been my favorite and the hardest build ever, and it will run by itself. That video will be out tomorrow, and if you want to give that a watch, it really helps support the channel. And thank you guys again for joining, and we will see you all next month.